time to take a look at today's issue segment where we go in depth on J.B. Pritzker's State of the State and budget speech, the 8th one he's delivered as governor, and many would say his most challenging as he deals with a $2.2 billion shortfall in federal cuts affecting his previous plans for balancing budgets. The budget proposal for fiscal year 2027 proposes $56 billion in spending. That's about a $900 million increase from the previous, but 2/3 of that is required spending increases for categories like education and pensions. To balance the budget, Pritzker says he's expecting $56.1 billion in revenue for fiscal year 27, an increase of about $800 million from current year projections. Pritzker's proposal does not include new taxes on millionaires and billionaires, which progressive Democrats actually sought. Instead, the governor opts for targeted tax increases that will be paid by businesses and corporations. That's over increases by consumers. The balanced budget also assumes that the state will win its current court battle with the Trump administration. The suit claims the president has attempted to cut about $1 billion in congressionally approved funding for Illinois. As for new revenue, the biggest plan is a new tax on social media companies with at least 100,000 users in Illinois. For instance, platforms with $1 million or 1 million users or more in the state would be taxed $165,000 each month, with the hopes of generating about $200 million in new income. And the entire State of the State and budget speech delivered in Springfield Wednesday went exactly 47 minutes long. Here I break down the speech to what I call about a 3.5-minute Cliff Notes version, followed by reaction from local Democratic State Senator Steve Stottleman. And don't worry, after that, I give the Garrigan guarantee I will give equal time to the GOP.
$8.4 billion. That is how much the Trump administration has cost the people of Illinois. Alongside many other states, Illinois is fighting more than 50 cases in court where the federal government is illegally confiscating money that has already been promised and appropriated by the Congress to the people of Illinois. These are not handouts. These are dollars that real Illinoisans paid in federal taxes and that have been constitutionally approved by our elected Democratic and Republican representatives in Washington. When Donald Trump is taking resources away that are rightfully ours, none of us, Democrats or Republicans, should be okay with that. I want to say to anyone on either side of the aisle, if you want to talk about our FY 2027 budget, you must first demand the return of the money and resources this president has taken from the people of Illinois. Here's the good news. Illinois has suffered through similar hardship before, and we know the way out. Since 2018, our state's credit rating has gone from near junk bond status to getting 10 consecutive credit upgrades. Our rainy day fund has grown from $4 million to $2.4 billion. For the third year in a row, Illinois ranked as the #2 state in the nation for corporate expansions and relocations into our state. And skilled workers are choosing Illinois because they earn more here. In fact, Illinois ranks 4th nationally for college graduates seeing a return on investment in their education. And for earnings in the trades, like construction, Chicago is #1 in the country for large metros, and Peoria is #1 for mid-sized metro areas. And for small metro areas, Decatur, Champaign, and Rockford are numbers 2, 3, and 4, respectively. And while Donald Trump says it's a hellhole here, 113 million domestic and international visitors still flock to Illinois, spending a record $48.5 billion, driving an all-time high in hotel tax revenue and restoring O'Hare as the busiest airport in the nation. Only one state outpaced Illinois in 8th grade reading scores, and only 4 states outpaced Illinois in 8th grade math scores. We're leading the pack because of sustained investments in education. 7 times now, I have promised to propose, and sign a balanced budget. And 7 times I have delivered on that promise. This year will be no different, despite how challenging this 8th year's budget is. I have joked with many of you that I wish I could spend just 1 year of my governorship presiding over precedented times. I yearn for normal problems. It was a conversation I had more than once with my friend, the late Governor Jim Edgar. Jim and I didn't share the same political party, but we did share something far more important: a fierce love of our country and our state. I've been thinking a lot lately about love, about loving people and loving your country and the power involved in both. What you choose to arm yourself with in this fight, love or hate, exposes which side you're fighting on. Only the weakest of people believe that love is the weakest of weapons.
And with all the uncertainty and chaos in Washington, D.C. right now, this budget provides stability. It's balanced, it's responsible, it keeps spending the check, and that's what manufacturers and businesses are looking for. A couple other things. I mean, the commitment to workforce development, pre-apprenticeship programs, again, that will help boost economic development, provide a framework for manufacturers and businesses to excel.
Okay, back to that Garrigan guarantee. What you just heard from Governor Pritzker and State Senator Staudteman came to 4 minutes, 13 seconds, and 11 frames. And now, as promised, we will hear from state line GOP lawmakers for what ended up being 4 minutes, 13 seconds, and 14 frames. So here are the responses from State Senators Andrew Chesney, Lee Ariano, and Dave Severson.
J.B. Pritzker has been setting the stage for the past several months to blame all of his budget problems on the White House. You have seen him in the media whining about federal cuts, playing the victim card instead of taking ownership for his fiscal nightmare that Illinois has become under his tenure as governor. It is J.B. Pritzker, it is not Donald Trump, who has raised the state government spending by $17 billion since becoming governor. It is J.B. Pritzker, it is not Donald Trump, who is responsible for spending billions and billions of dollars on illegal immigrants. It is J.B. Pritzker, not Donald Trump, that chose to use COVID relief dollars to create new programs rather than paying down debt. As much as J.B. Pritzker today wants to deny the reality, the problems fall at his feet and his feet alone. He needs to stop pretending that the rest of the United States has any interest in putting his failed record in the White House. He has to get back to the state of Illinois and get to work.
Much of a budget address. It was clearly more of a campaign-style, ambition-based speech. As I sat there counting, I believe he mentioned President Trump roughly 18 times. And as I waited to see when he would mention legislators such as myself that he is supposed to be working with, the one time I caught it was when he was demanding that I join him in criticizing and attacking the sitting president before I would be allowed to work on the fiscal year budget, which is an unethical statement and not at all how the legislative and executive branch should be working together, to say nothing of the ethics of good government. Speaking of ethics, things I did not hear in this budget were any ethical reforms of a serious nature, which I am passionate about as a government reformer, and I would expect that from any governor of any party. I did not hear financial reforms that are key to getting our state on a better financial track. There are parts I did agree with the governor on, but unfortunately, since he's made it clear that he is not interested in working with legislators like me unless we toe his almost election-style approach, which I will not ethically do for any governor of any party, he has made clear he is not interested in unity. And for all his speaking of love in his speech, it is clear he is not actually interested in a genuine unified approach to the state of Illinois. Frankly, I did not get the impression that he was terribly interested in the state of Illinois in general, based on how much time he spent focused on national level events.
The one thing that stood out that he forgot to mention was there's over $700 million of new taxes in here. This is on top of the fact that we've increased spending by $18 billion more over the last 7 years. I don't know about you. I don't see $18 billion worth of better government. In addition to that, the budget takes our state employment count to almost 63,000 employees. That's over 6,000 net increase of employees just in the last 2 years. Government has to live within their means like you and I do. We have a spending problem, not a revenue problem in Illinois. So that's certainly the biggest concern. The second was he kept talking about how Illinois is such a great place to do business, how companies are dying to get here, that this is the fastest growing economy. And it's like, really? Facts don't cease to exist just because they're ignored. The facts are, we have a lot of people leaving Illinois. We're number one in out-migration. We need to turn that around. The good news is we can. We just have to understand that no state, no country has ever taxed their way into prosperity. You grow your way by improving the jobs climate and making Illinois a great place to do work. If we do that, we can turn things around.